Farm to fork is popular, but so is fermenter to stein. Beer is bustling here in Boise, so we're going to meet with a brewmaster of 15 years to find out how to make the perfect glass of beer. Come on, let's go. Hey Lance, nice
Hello.
to meet you.
Nice to meet you.
Thank you
as
so
well.
much for having us here. This is exciting. So you've been a brewmaster for 15 years, and we want to know, how do you begin your process for making a perfect beer?
It all starts with a recipe. You know what I mean? Inspiration, how you want a beer to turn out. But then as far as how we actually make it, we start in the grain room back here.
Okay,
We start by, after you have that recipe, you got to pull all the grains for it and get them milled up. That's where our grain mill comes in. It's a double roller mill, so we'll drop in all of our specialty grains and all of the grain from our silo out front, and they'll mill them up here. And then all the grains are gonna collect here in our grist case, where they're gonna be augured over to our brew house over here. So they'll be augured over through this big long white tube. We have another tube that connects at the top there. That's our mash hydrator. That's where the grain meets hot water and gets mixed in and gathers in our mash tun in here. At that point, it's kind of the consistency of a big thing of oatmeal.
Okay.
We have one of our brewers up there, of course, with a mash paddle, mixing it all in. Then it sits for an hour, a process called conversion. It converts all the starches into fermentable sugars. And then after that, we do a 25 minutes called a Vorloft. It basically brings all the liquid from the bottom, using all those grains as a natural filter to clarify that wort is what it's called at this point, sweet wort. We'll then take the sweet wort and move it over into our kettle. That's the process called runoff. It takes a couple of hours to do. In our kettles, where we're going to heat that up and boil all of that sweet wort. That's also at the point where we are going to add all of our hops. Like I said, that recipe is very, very key. Which grains you're using is going to determine what style you have at the end. And then of course, hops. Wide variety of them. So you got to choose your hops wisely, which ones are going to give you the right characteristics you're looking for whichever style you're brewing. After that, we do a whirlpool in the kettle. That's going to take all the vegetal parts of those hops that we just threw in, and it's going to gather them into a cone so they don't come out into our fermenter. We don't want that. We run it through our little heat exchanger here. We're also going to add oxygen at this point. That helps rile up the yeast. It helps wake it up from a dormant state so it can start the fermentation process.
Okay.
Fermentation takes place in one of our fermenters. It takes about 2 weeks of fermentation for it to be ready. We'll have yeast in the bottom of these cones and have them all cleaned out before they receive that bitter wort and start to ferment.
Okay.
After that 2 weeks, we'll crash the temperature down. That makes the the yeast go dormant and collect in these cones at the bottom, to where we can use them to ferment another batch.
Okay.
And then after they're chilled, we move them onto our bright tank. That's where we add carbonation to them. And that's pretty much finished product. From there, we can put them directly into bottles, cans, kegs, and they're ready to go.
Excellent. Okay, and I imagine, like I said, it's a big payoff for all of that work.
Yes. Yeah. Well, it's, liquid gold at the end, for sure. So.
Liquid gold. Okay, so Lance, how do you evaluate a beer?
Well, there's many different beer styles. So you got, if you're familiar with the beer style, you kind of know what you're looking for. First, you're going to evaluate it with your eyes. You're going to take a real good look at it. Is it clear? What color is it? Is it dark brown? If it's black, you're going to probably expect some roastiness or some kind of chocolatey flavors. If it's clear, you're going to expect something light on your palate. Then you're going to sniff it, also preparing your palate for what's coming next. So like I said, you look, you give it a sniff, and then you sip.
And?
That's tasty.